Hello and welcome everybody to the Tridion Docs 15.3 Bootcamp. I'm Mihai Papasima, and together during this session we will learn about the latest Tridion Docs Genius updates. On the agenda for Genius, we have the following topics: role-based access, embeddable widget, cookie consent banner, which is required for Google Analytics, and the Tridion AI platform agent support for trustable chat. And at the end, we will also have a demo. Starting with role-based access, what is it? It is a new feature which enables our customers to configure which user can access what content based on the roles they are assigned. Genius already had a public or partial setting, but it was all or nothing, so either all content was available to everyone publicly or all content was behind login. Why? Our customers can now restrict content to employees. They can define groups of users which have access to content relevant to their roles. There is the possibility to restrict content to authorized reviewers before giving access to wider audiences. And also having both content restricted to authorized users and content open to the public on the same environment. How? We needed to implement changes on multiple levels. So we have updated the security settings in Genius to include partial along with public and protected. We now have the possibility to define groups and map them to roles assigned to the users in the IDP, and then create content permissions for these groups. And also it requires an OpenID Connect identity provider, such as Auth0, Cognito, or Azure IDP. The Genius security settings. First one, public. It is the usual, which was there before. Login is disabled. All online content is accessible. And yeah, this is unchanged. The second one is protected. We used to have this one as well, but it's slightly changed now. So login is mandatory. Content permissions must be set in order to view content even while logged in. While logged in, also depending on the user roles, each user can have access to different products. And offline and online content can also be available depending on the content permissions. And then the partial setup, this is the new one. Here, login is optional. It can be set which content is available publicly. We call it the anonymous user. But then also when logged in, similar to protected, content can be available based on the content permissions. For this, we need this new application called Admin Panel. I've mentioned multiple times the group mappings, the roles, and the content permissions. This is where this can be done. This is a simple UI for these configurations, and yeah, you will learn more about it in the next slides and also during the demo. So in the admin panel, a common example for role-based access is the staging example, where some users are supposed to review the content before it is released to wider audiences. This can be done by creating a reviewer group, and by making use of the claims property, we can link this reviewer group to the reviewer role in the IDP. And then we can create content permissions for this reviewer group. And depending on the release version or status, the content will become available to these users. So for example, in here, we have the reviewer group. It is assigned the product Tridion Docs, and we assign a specific version. Then maybe it also can be used with the online status. It can be that the publication can be published as offline. Then only users which have a content permission for the offline status will then be available to see it. And then once the content is accepted, it can be changed so it targets wider audiences. Next, we have the embeddable widget. So there is interest in having an embeddable Genius widget, which can be included in other websites. and can be used to find the needed documentation. This is intended to be a lightweight version of Genius, so we trimmed down some parts which were not needed. The trustable chat is the main page in this experience. When you open it, you can jump in and ask questions. The responses will contain links to the topics referenced in the answers, so the user can also find themselves the needed information. There is also the possibility to trigger a search in Genius from the main page. So for example, if the user would type something in the search bar of the parent website, that search can be passed on to Genius, and then Genius would return the documentation that it has available based on that. The Genius widget experience is available under the /embedded route, while the full Genius experience is also available at the same time. There is no language selector in the widget, but the language can be controlled by the parent app via the URL. It also supports role-based access. Login can be done by passing the token from the parent application to the widget, but also you can use a setting like partial, and then in that case you can set up what content is available publicly as the anonymous user. We provide helper functions for navigation events, triggering search, and also for opening pages in the widget. And we also provide a demo example, which you will see soon. The next feature is the cookie consent banner. So we support Google Analytics, but for GDPR compliance, in order to use this feature, the users must give their consent before any data is collected. We implemented a cookie banner, which will appear when you first navigate to the website, but only if Google Analytics are enabled. Otherwise, there is no need for it. The text in the cookie notification can be edited in the branding configuration package, along with the possibility of adding links. And last but not least, Tridion AI platform agent support for trustable chat. Until now, Genius was using our DXD agent for the trustable chat, but there is interest in the possibility to connect other agents and making use of them in Genius. So Genius now supports swapping the default DXD agent with the agents deployed within the Tridion AI platform. And now let's go to the demo. So for this, I will be using Auth0 as the identity provider, and I will be focusing, refresh the page, and I will be focusing on these two users, tester2 and lstest. If we go to the roles for each user, we can see that tester2 has administrator and company user, while lstest has also anonymous reviewer, but mainly we will focus on this reviewer role for this use case, which lstest does have and this one does not. First of all, so in Access Manager, we have the IDP configured. CloudOps will have to add for each customer claims for all the roles that they want to use. So in this case, for this example, I'm just using reviewer. If other roles would be used, then we would have to add a claim there for each of them. So once that is done, we can go to admin panel. So we have the groups page. Here I already have some groups configured. There is an anonymous group. This will be applied because of the Genius anonymous role, which comes from Access Manager. This is assigned when you're not logged in. So when you're not logged in, it will execute all the API calls as the anonymous user. So whatever we configure as permission for anonymous, that's what we will see. And then we have the authenticated role, similar thing, but this role, you will get it when you're authenticated. Next, I'll create the reviewer's role. I'll add also authenticated. And in here, I will have to pass this claim key and the claim value. Check reviewer, it is correct. All right. So next, I'll explain the content permissions and we will see them take effect. So here, anonymous, for the anonymous group, we have Tridion Docs. Now, if I go to the application, I'm not logged in right now. Wait. Yes, I'm not logged in. I can see Tridion Docs. That is all that is available right now. While authenticated, there is RWS Language Cloud. So I will now log in. Reopen this window. Have it up somewhere else. Yeah, I do have it here. I will log in. As tester 2. And now RWS Language Cloud product is also available while logged in. That is according to the content permission. So as anonymous, there is Tridion Docs. It is also available while you're logged in. And our RWS Language Cloud is only available when you're logged in. I will now create another one for the reviewers group. I will add Tridion sites. For the release, you can either select one release or you can leave it empty and then it will count as all releases. Then I'll select status online because the content is published as online. If the content would be published as offline, the status would be offline, then you can also create content permission so you can also see that content while others will not be able to. So I've created this reviewers group. And as we can see, LS test does have the reviewer role. Good. And now, hopefully soon we will see it take into effect because there is also a level of caching and the changes take a little bit until they are applied. And there we can see Tridion sites while we're logged in as LS test, but we do not see it when we are logged in here as tester 2. So that is an example of how we can use role-based access to restrict access. This is using the partial setting. Obviously, you probably already know with the public setting, all the content would be available. If it is set to online status, content service will automatically filter that. And for protected, it is similar, but you are forced to log in to be able to see any content. And then I would like to show you the embedded widget. So this is the demo example that we're also providing with Genius. And we can open the Genius widget. This is how it looks. As I mentioned, the main interaction goes using the chat. So now I can ask questions. I'll just check. Ask about Tridion Docs. And then obviously it will start streaming the answer. The answer will contain references if there are, and also the usual 3 recommended questions afterwards. We can use the references links to navigate to the exact topic page. This is how the topic page looks. As I mentioned, it's trimmed down. It doesn't have a doc for navigation, but it's still, you can still see the content, you can navigate through the links, and you also get the recommendations. Can go back to the chat page, and we can also trigger, open, navigate to topics from the parent application, like in this example. You can set up links so they open specific pages inside. As you saw when I clicked on these, there is also a notification. This is a demo for the navigation event listener. So if our customers would like to implement some kind of tracking or something like that, they can make use of these. And I also mentioned the search. So here I'm typing install in the search bar of the main application, and that search is executed in the Genius widget. We can see the results. The filters are not shown in this experience, but it should be enough to find the right content. All right, I believe that is all from my side.